You're looking to buy or sell real estate in 2024, you're going to want to watch this video because we're breaking down the July statistics, but also seeing where the marketplace is based on buyer or seller blocks. So are you in the under $1 million price range for single family homes? Are you in the apartment price range? We're going to break it down and give it all to you so we can make educated decisions and make sure you're making the right decision for you and your family. Hey everybody, it's Mark Coons here with Selling Kelowna Real Estate Group, and we're breaking down the real estate statistics. And every Thursday, we're going to do a real estate related video or Okanagan related, whether it's living in Kelowna or real estate living. So reach out, give us a call, shoot us a text message if you are looking at purchasing real estate. And before you forget, hit that subscribe button down below and click that like button so I know if I'm doing videos that you appreciate. It would mean the world to me. If you've been watching the real estate market and other real estate market statistics in the Okanagan here, you're going to notice that we are seeing increased amount of inventory. We're actually right now at an all-time high amount of inventory. They're right now on the marketplace. There is 3,910 active listings at the end of July, which is an all-time high from what we've seen. But Economics 101 will really tell us that we should expect prices come down. But is that the truth? We're looking into that in this video here, and we're going to dive into it. And I go through this on our weekly email. So if you do want to subscribe, in the links below, sign up for the weekly email so it goes into your inbox so you don't miss out on necessary, important information in the real. So when looking at the overall real estate market, we're going to look at the months of inventory, see if we're in a balanced market, seller's market, what kind of market we're in. And right now, I think the safe word would be in general, we're in a buyer's market. 0 to 3 months is normally a month of inventory, is normally a seller's market. 3 to 6 months is normally a balanced market. And when you get 6 months plus, you're oftentimes going to be more in a buyer's market. And the higher up you go, the more of a buyer's market it is. When looking at the real estate market overall right now, the months of inventory actually decreased last month. And we're now at 9 months of inventory. The biggest thing that we're seeing right now is properties are selling for the right price. The motivated sellers are selling, but there are a lot of unmotivated sellers and people holding out for the right price. So despite the higher inventory, not everybody needs to sell. And there's so much outside money in the marketplace. And around 60% of homes in Kelowna are mortgage free. So there's tons of equity out there in the marketplace, and people don't necessarily need the money, and they're not necessarily selling to cash out. It will make a bulk of people looking in the market because we are seeing over 100 decreases every week. And we've been seeing that for multiple weeks on end. And we've been seeing that all summer long and most of the spring as well. So when you're looking at the real estate market and the months of inventory, we're going to break it down by price segments because not all prices are created equal. I mean, you look at the $2 million plus market, and that market is seeing 32 months of inventory. And that is accounting for 18% of the total amount of listings on the single family side and 9% overall for the entire inventory. And if you break it down and go into the more median range where you're $1 million to $2 million price range, we're seeing that marketplace, it had 70 sales last month, and the months of inventory is at 14 months of inventory. And overall, this segment is making up the bulk of the actual amount of inventory. For single family homes, this is 52% of the overall amount of inventory on the market right now, is right in this $1 million to $2 million price range. So that is where we're seeing, and we're going to look getting into the price and see how prices have changed over time. And $1 million home is now pretty average when you look at it. When you look at the average price range, and if you want to break it down, obviously the closer you get to the lower the price range, the more competitive oftentimes it will be, especially in what seems to be an interest rate sensitive environment right now. But because we've seen interest rates start to come down, buyer sentiment is starting to get a little bit stronger, and we're starting to see a little bit more activity in the marketplace. And the $1 million to $1.2 million price range, so just a $200,000 price range, just on the fringe of that million, is at 10 months of inventory. So there is quite a bit of change from the $1 to $2 million price range has 14 months of inventory, but the $1 to $2 million price range has 10 months of inventory. So there's a difference of 4 months. Still in a buyer's market, mind you, but it is starting to get more and more competitive. And if you want to take and break it down, looking at the $1 million and less, that is at an astounding 5 months of inventory, which is incredible. There's so much competition in there, and these active listings are making about 20% of the actual amount of listings in the marketplace. So when you look at the under $1 million, it is highly competitive marketplace, and there's only 5 months of inventory on that. So what the months of inventory tells us is if no more homes come on the market and demand remains the same, it would take that many months for the inventory to go to zero. Obviously, that's making a lot of assumptions and it's never going to happen, but that is just going to give you an idea of what is happening in the marketplace. All right, so diving in, I mean, even despite high inventory, I mean, we did see in July 429 properties sell in the marketplace, which overall is up over what it was in May, but just down overall when you consider what we've seen in the last few years. So sales are down, even though we saw a little bit of a spike, and we are seeing slight more activity on the marketplace. Single family homes had 194 total sales, so those led the way. Townhomes had 63 total sales, and the townhome market and the apartment market saw 117 total sales in the month of July. So despite seeing high amounts of inventory, the single family home market is really the highest and most impacted in the marketplace. Right now, it's accounting for 49%. Right now, it's accounting for 49% of the total amount of inventory we're seeing on the marketplace. So when you are taking a look at it, apartments and townhomes are accounting for the other 51% of the marketplace. Even despite short-term rental restrictions and short-term rental rules, we are seeing single-family homes still leading the way in total amounts of inventory. And we're going to break down in this video the difference in pricing and what we've seen in difference in pricing and how it's affected the price. And obviously, there is a range in prices when you look at single family homes. So homes will range. We had a sale last month of $16 million in the real estate market. And when there's a lot of competition, so not all homes are going to be created equal. And when there's a lot of competition, a lot of inventory on the market, we're going to see what's kind of turning over and where we're going to go from there. So when you're looking at the marketplace and we're looking at the average price points, what we're looking at right now is the change in home prices across all price ranges. And this is over the last 10 years. So every year we have a different chart here. And looking at the chart starting at 2014, you can just see how the average price points have increased year over year. And that's why we're talking about home appreciation and home values changing. The big year where we saw a huge gap here is between 2020 and 2021, where we've seen a huge amount of gap. So if you follow this green line here, that's 2020, and it increases there, and then starts up in 2021 and continues to go up. Where we saw 2021 and between 2021 and 2022, there's a huge jump here on this yellow line. And this is where we saw home prices peak in 2022 in February and March. And if you see what happened in these months here in 2020, we all know what the world shut down. And then just as the world was starting to reopen here in the summer of 2020, home prices started to increase with low interest rates there. So that's where we're seeing the home prices. And where we're at today is we're on this line here, and we're coming across here. And this is where we're at in July of 2024 here, where we've seen a little bit of instability in the last couple of years. 2023, we have got a lot more peaks and valleys, and there wasn't a whole lot of up and down. 2022, we saw it peak up here, and then it started to drop a little bit. So overall price points were still up a little bit from especially 2021, and where we're kind of still at that peak of 2021 price range where we're at right now. So we are starting to see some of the average prices coming down. This is using the median price ranges on it. And if you want to look at the competitive nature of it, how we've looked at home prices under $1 million over the last 10 years, we're a little bit flatter. And that's where the competition factor is going to come into play, where we have a little bit more flatter range here for home prices under $1 million. Previously, all the homes other than high-end homes were really under $1 million when we're leading into before the world shut down there in 2020 and interest rates hit zero, we've seen a great drastic increase in overall prices. So the supply in this marketplace has dropped because home prices have increased over $1 million for the average home price. And when we're looking at 2024 here, so we've seen it peaked there in February, and we're about flat where we were in February. So we haven't seen home prices under $1 million come down. We haven't really seen it increase. It's been pretty nice and flat. And you obviously can see where it's been a little bit more flatter, a little bit less variance in these home prices, but that's just going to show what is happening right now in the real estate market. So if you do have questions on it, you need to really pinpoint it and put it into your buyer segment of what kind of market you're looking at and where do you fit in, because there's more competition in the under $1 million price range. But if you're over $1 million, it might be a good time to buy. And if you have a property to sell that's under $1 million, there's a lot of competition right there. And not to say we're going to go bid and the home prices might jack up and get it over $1 million. That might happen, but we're seeing multiple offers still in certain situations if it's priced right and a competitive